Let's turn to the UK now, where a Channel migrant who had already been deported somehow managed to sneak back into Britain. The Iranian man arrived on a dinghy on August 6 and was deported 6 weeks later. But by Saturday, he was already back in Britain. Joining me now is Spiked Online chief political reporter Brenden O'Neill. Brenden, look, this just proves that Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out policy is a complete joke.
It's a shambles. It's more like one out, one back in. It's ridiculous. And in fact, I think we have deported 20 or so migrants over the past few weeks or past couple of months. In that time, thousands of new illegal immigrants have rocked up on Britain's shores. We're talking around 700 or 800 men every single day in these small boats sailing across the English Channel and being put up in hotels in Britain, being given 3 meals a day, being given dental appointments, doctor's appointments. We're creating incentives for these people to cross the English Channel. That's the truth of the matter. And it's not surprising to me that even people who are deported are trying to come back, because Britain has become insanely a really soft touch for illegal immigrants.
Yeah, well, I mean, when illegal immigrants are being given the royal treatment, of course they keep coming back. It's such a shame on ordinary Brits. Now, look, Keir Starmer's inquiry into grooming gangs is going as well as his immigration policy. Labor can't actually find anyone to chair it, with its last remaining candidate, former Deputy Chief Constable Jim Gamble, pulling out due to political opportunism and a lack of trust. Brenden, how unfair is this to the survivors? I mean, Labor can't even get a proper inquiry up and running.
It's horrifically unfair. It's another shambles, but this is a far more serious one, because people will be familiar with the grooming gang crisis. These were white working class girls who over a period of years were groomed and raped across the country by gangs of mostly Pakistani Muslim men. And officialdom turned the other way. It looked the other way and it let the abuse carry on in certain situations. It's one of the biggest scandals of post-war Britain. And these women are still not being treated seriously. They're still not being believed. And I find it so interesting, the women we're supposed to believe and the women we're not supposed to believe. So you'll remember that when Hollywood actresses said that they were assaulted or abused by producers, we were told, believe all women. But when Israelis said that their women were abused and raped on 7th of October, suddenly we were told not to believe it. It might be made up. It might not be true. When middle-class journalists in Britain said that a Tory MP put his hand on their knee, that was all over the papers. You had to believe it. But when these working-class girls said that they were being abused by gangs of Pakistani Muslim men, it was brushed under the carpet. Feminism has created this hierarchy of victims, women we should trust and women we shouldn't trust. I think that's incredibly dangerous, incredibly divisive.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And my heart goes out to all the survivors. Let's turn to Rome. King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived earlier today to begin their historic state visit. As we speak, the royals and the Pope are on their way to a special service in the Sistine Chapel. Brenden, how historic is this moment?
Hugely historic. This is going to be the first time that a British monarch has prayed with the Pope since the Protestant Reformation 500 years ago. I mean, really extraordinary stuff. I think this is really positive for the Catholics in Britain, the Catholic community here, which includes the community I come from. It's a minority community, but they're good people. And it will be very good for them to see the king of this country praying with the Pope, the head of their own church, the head of their religion. I think it's really positive. It's really historic. I just hope the Prince Andrew scandal doesn't overshadow it. I also hope that King Charles doesn't make any kind of, relativistic, soft, politically correct statements. I hope he embraces the historic Christian nature of this moment and appreciates how important it is.
Absolutely. We've got some live pictures of the Sistine Chapel on our screen now as Rome awaits the arrival of the King and Queen, and we will keep our viewers up to date with that throughout the evening. Brenden, they're in Rome, but look, they can't escape the saga that's Prince Andrew. Even the UK Prime Minister is supporting an investigation into his living arrangements after it was revealed the Prince hasn't paid rent for his 30-room mansion in 20 years. And now his royal biographer claims that the Prince allegedly urged staff and friends to find women for him with a preference for ballerinas and blondes. I mean, it just seems to get worse and worse.
It's awful. I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool monarchist. In fact, I was a huge fan of Queen Elizabeth II, like most people, but I do think Britain should probably become a republic at some point in the future. And Prince Andrew is really propelling me forward in that view because he's bringing shame on the royal family. He's bringing shame on Britain, in fact. This is a man who is in line to the throne still. He's still called Prince, and yet he is behaving in a way that is incredibly unbecoming of an institution that was led by his mother so well for so long. It's embarrassing, and I do think King Charles is going to have to do something about his brother, or else he'll just cast a shadow over this family for the next few years.
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's going to continue following them around no matter what, like a bad smell. But I think it's quite frankly embarrassing. You're spot on. Brenden O'Neill, nice to catch up with you as always. Thanks very much for joining me on the show.